Hi there, welcome to the Schwoven's Nest. My name is Sandra, and I've got 3 amazing trash to treasure projects for you today. Let's get started. I have this silicone mold that I picked up at Michael's. I have a couple of other ones as well, but I thought these designs would be perfect for what I want to do. I am going to be using hot glue to fill in the mold. Once it's dry, I'll be able to pop it out, and these turn out absolutely beautiful. I have tried using air dry clay, but as soon as I try to get it on my project, it doesn't work. It breaks, it cracks, it falls off. So I have decided to just stick with what works for me. I am going very slowly with my hot glue gun, making sure that I fill it all the way up to the top. Once the hot glue is dry, simply pop it out of the mold, and then I'll use some little scissors just to clean up around the edges. I made 2 larger ones and 2 smaller ones. They're the same style, just different sizes. To get these little hot glue molds onto my canisters, I'm using Starbond thick gap filler and the Accelerator spray. The reason I'm using the gap filler is it's a really super thick glue. It doesn't run very easily, and this will give me a lot of control to be able to put the glue onto the hot glue and then place it onto the canister. When you're using this type of glue, it's a good idea not to put too much on. This first one, I did put a little bit too much on, but it is sticking on the one side. So I'm spraying it with the accelerator, then adding a little bit of accelerator on the other side, and then using both hands, I'm just going to hold it down until the glue has a chance to set. This takes about 10 to 15 seconds, depending on how much glue you have on there. Of course, there's going to be some pieces that are sticking out just more towards the edges. So what I'm going to do is again take this gap filler, which is a super thick glue, and squeeze some into the gaps. Then I'm going to take the accelerator one more time and spray it so the glue can harden. And this will become a permanent hold on the canister. The line of Starbond glues come with many different shapes and sizes and styles, so I have a link down in my description box if you're interested in checking them out. These 2 green canisters I picked up at a thrift store, and I really thought they were beautiful. There was hardly any damage to them, actually no damage to them at all. So that's why I'm doing something fun with them. Now, this is just Mod Podge and a rough brush, and I'm putting a layer of Mod Podge on here to get rid of the shiny part of the canister because that will allow my paint technique to stick really well. Now, normally I use my Rust-Oleum clear matte spray, but I wanted to have a little bit of texture. And when you put Mod Podge on a little bit thicker, sometimes you do get a little bit of a brush stroke. So that's the effect I wanted. I'm going to take a smaller brush and get into all of the little grooves and cracks here by the mold, and then I'm going to set these aside to dry. One thing I did do that I forgot to film was paint the mold itself approximately the same color as the canister, just so they would both have the same base. Now I'm taking my rough little stippling brush here, which is just a round, sort of like a chip brush, and I'm dry brushing some white chalk paint on it. I wanted these to look old and weathered and distressed and kind of have an old-fashioned terracotta, been outside for years look to them with a little bit of that green poking through. I think they turned out absolutely gorgeous, but you'll have to let me know what you think of this look and this technique. I'm trying some new things this year. I want to step out of my comfort zone and do a little bit more different things to maybe punch up the volume a little bit here on my channel. I had placed Mod Podge on the lids too because I wasn't quite sure at the time what I wanted to do with it. I'm going to leave them green, but I'm just going to dry brush the white chalk paint onto the knobs just so they blend in together and they look like they belong together. The green lid with no white on it just kind of looked out of place. Once they were completely dry, I gave them a couple of coats of Rust-Oleum Clear Matte Spray Finish, just to make sure that they were sealed in and wouldn't chip. I love how these turned out, and I'm going to be so excited to display them on my kitchen counter. Thank you so much to all of my current viewers and subscribers. I really love you guys. If you aren't already subscribed to my channel, I would love it if you could hit that red button too. This next project is using this adorable little produce basket that I picked up for $2 at the thrift store. I also got a bag of these corks that were $2.99. I think there's probably about 50 corks in each bag. I just got the one bag, but they were still sealed in the original packaging, so they had never been touched. So excited to have something brand new from the thrift store to work with. I'm going to use hot glue and just put these on north, east, south, and west. Hot glue is going to work perfectly for this application because it's a raw cork and I'm gluing it to raw wood. There isn't any painted surfaces, so hot glue is fine. I had a couple of ideas for this little basket. I wanted to make it kind of look more like a little modern farmhouse thing. So I decided to use my white chalk paint and just start painting every second slat on the bottom. I didn't like how that looked, so I decided then to just paint every slat, but leaving the part underneath or in between the slats the natural color. And this is what I ended up doing with it. I thought this looked really great. I also decided to paint the corks white and the middle band so that would all be a cohesive look and just bring everything together. Then I decided to paint the wood handle portion white because then when it hung down, it just kind of brought a little bit more white to the top of the basket. For this basket, I wanted to create something a little different. I'm using some white lavender and these lamb's ear leaves that I think I got on Amazon as a garland a couple of years ago, and I'm still using some of the leaves from it. So I'm going to create my own picks, and this is something that you can do with anything. If the pick isn't what you're looking for, take it apart and put on your own stuff. These baskets sell really well for me, so I thought I would make this one a little bit farmhouse, but still more neutral so it would blend in with any type of decor. I'm using a few pieces of this foam that came from a garden knee pad. I'm just going to wedge it in. I'm not going to use any glue to hold it in place because I want this to be removable. If I keep it for myself, which I probably won't because my house is getting pretty full of stuff, I want to be able to have this as removable. So you could take the florals out when you're tired of it and you could use it in the bathroom for some washcloths, or you could use it in the kitchen for some utensils. The possibilities of using a little basket like this are endless. So I'm just going to put some Spanish moss on top just to camouflage the green, and then I'll start arranging my picks, not in a fancy way at all, just basically putting them in straight up and down so they look like natural lavender that grows out in the garden. I love how this little basket turned out. I think it's absolutely adorable. To make it easier for you to find out when I upload something new, click the bell next to the subscribe button. If you click all, you won't miss out on anything I have to share. This project is this metal lantern that I've had for a couple of years. You can see that the bottom is already starting to rust. It was $3 at the thrift store. I am going to remove the top, which proved to be a little tricky, but I ended up getting it done. And I'm also going to remove the glass pieces. I don't want those in there because I want to be able to decorate this a little bit differently than just using it as a lantern. When I spray paint, I usually try to use this spray paint handle that you see. I have that link down in my description box. It just really helps to get more of an even spray because you're not working with your finger pressing on it, you're working it as a handle, so you get a lot more control that way. And this proved to be a little bit tricky to spray paint because of all the little nooks and crannies, but I did manage to get it done. Originally, I thought I was going to use the lid, so you do see me painting it here, but I ended up not using it. While I waited for the spray paint to dry, I took the bottom of the lantern, which is just this little metal piece that you could twist and it would just come right out. And I'm taking a couple of these little pieces from the Dollar Tree. They're just little wood pieces, and I'm tracing the circle around. I'm going to use my miter shears to go ahead and trim this as best I can all the way around. And then I'm going to use just a sanding block and get it all sanded nice and smooth. I'm going to do this 2 times. I use these miter shears all the time, and if you are a crafter and don't have a pair yet, you've got to get some. There's a link down in my description box. I've got some pretty pointy edges, so I'm going to take some rough grit sandpaper. I think this is a 60 or an 80 grit, and I'm just going to go ahead and smooth them down and make them as circular as possible. I'm going to do that for both of these little discs. Using Weld Bond permanent glue, I'm going to glue these 2 little discs together and hold them with some clamps until the glue has a chance to dry. Most of the products and tools that I use will be listed down in my description box, but if something is missing, please let me know in the comments and I'll make sure to get it up there quick. I had this little piece of wood left over from when I was doing tiered trays, so I cut the little bottom piece of it off. I glued the 2 rounds to that little guy to make a tiny little candlestick. And now I'm using a walnut gel stain by Americana Decor to stain it a brown color. I wanted there to be some nice contrast between this and the white lantern. I used my Starbond glue and accelerator again to add one of these little pieces to the bottom of the lantern. I didn't want to use the original piece that came with it because it was not sitting straight, and I wanted my little candlestick to sit straight. So I'm just going to take some hot glue and I'm going to put the glue down on the end of my little candlestick and then push it into the lantern, being super careful and quick to get it in the right spot. Now I'm going to decorate it, and I'm not going to make anything permanent except for the candlestick. I put a sweet little bird in here for now, and I'm using some of these winter stems and just placing them around the bottom part of the lantern. This would look beautiful with this little bird or any type of other little creature. It would also look gorgeous with a candle and maybe some lavender spring greenery. So this again is something that you can switch out for the seasons. And that's what I try to do with the majority of my projects. At least that's what I'm going to do this year. I want to make them more versatile and be able to use them all year round. To fill in the bottom a little bit more, I'm using some of these larger pine cones and just kind of fitting them in where I think they look nice. This turned out super cute, and I hope you like it too. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I hope you enjoyed these DIYs as much as I did creating them for you. Make sure you hit that thumbs up, the subscribe button if you haven't already done so, and the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. If you're already doing that and you'd like to support me a little bit more, you can buy me a coffee. The link is down in my description box. Thanks again. Bye for now.